we were talking about some stuff and we realized, we've been doing these shows for a number of years, and one of the questions we get asked all the time is how we make our knives. Are they forged? How do we make the knives?
I don't know what to say.
Let me start.
Shit.
So our process is really simple, and it's actually kind of an industry standard where you make them out of stock removal method. And what that basically means is we get the sheets of steel. Nitro V is our chosen steel, and we create our designs in CAD files. We design, make some prototypes. Once we build the prototypes out and like them, we take those files and we have them cut into the shape, basically the shape of the knife that you see there. That is the standard start of the process for how they become the shape of the knife. From there, it's all American manufacturing, and they go through different stages, different manufacturers, or different steps. Next step they go to is heat treating. They go to professional heat treaters and get heat treated to 6061 Rockwell is what we normally run them at. They leave that facility and go to the next step, which is putting the bevel grind on. All of those where you can, you kind of see the...
Basically, the bevel is where it goes from the fine point of cutting edge up to the stock thickness on the back of the spine.
It's not sharpened at that point. It's the bevel, the main bevel is put on them, and they're put on to our specs. We work with these manufacturers on the heat treat tolerances, the thickness of the spine, the bevel angle, the final thickness after it's ground, and all that stuff that comes in, where really is where the rubber meets the road with any good knife. Like, those factors have to come in to match each other. And once that process is done, we get the finished blanks into us. It's 4 different facilities that we have in America that by the time it gets to us, they are ready for us to do our processes on. From there, we take those finished blanks, which would be raw heat treated blanks, and apply our finishes. Most of our finishes happen to be Cerakote. We do it in-house. Long here is the one that Cerakotes all our blades. We can do them in different colors, and normally we stick with black, but if it has a coating, it's Cerakote out of our shop. Currently, the handles are not machined. We do all the handle work by hand. The scalloping patterns, the shaping to the tang, so everything's a perfect fit. And we get real in-time feel for the handle as we're creating it until we feel it's right. And it goes on to the next step, which is sheaths. And that's Long's department here. He's been running the sheath work for the last few hundred knives.
Yeah, like our handles, all our sheaths are made directly to the blade themselves. So each specific knife that we make a sheath that goes with that. Only goes with that one. It doesn't fit. It'll fit in, or other knives of the same model will fit in it, but you're not going to get that positive, perfect fit without molding it directly. And same thing we're doing with our handles. So each of these processes are going to be for that knife specifically, and that's how we get the fit and finish that that we're okay with and we're proud to put our name behind and put out.
The sheath, after they're each individually molded, it doesn't just end there. We take it and adjust the fitment as necessary. We apply heat in certain ways. We put the thumb ramps in, which allow you to break the lock easy without tugging on your knife. The fitment of it is as important as it protecting you from the blade and the blade from everything else.
We even make our own straps. So we get the raw leather strapping. We cut them to the length we want. What we found is the best medium for average belt sizes and everything out. We have a nice thick leather that's going to last, and we use quality materials on everything. We don't skimp on any of the materials to try and save costs. Our handle bolts are stainless Gosel bolts. They're the toughest you can get.
Nitride coated.
They're something that you can take apart, put back together several times if you need to, and it's not going to break. You know, it's the small details like that. Pull the dot snaps we use on our sheaths. You know, it's just the extra step that makes it that much better. And that's kind of where we hang our hat on, is we're going to go that extra mile on every little step to make it that much better.
Yeah.
You know, a Cadillac isn't a Cadillac over a Yugo because of the emblem. It's every little step of it. It's every little piece that refines it, that makes it better.
And to back up a little on the design, you know, where the designs come from and how that works out. It's not like we just make a design and they go, okay, cool, that should work. We take them, we make the prototypes. We might make 3-4 different types of prototypes with minor changes, big changes, whatever needs to happen, and we go and test them. We test these in the field. We're hunters, we're outdoorsmen. We have public service.
We look like a couple little
experience.
kids, and when we're in the shop, we look like a couple little kids with sheets of paper laying around, with knife drawings and measuring tapes and
it gets messy.
And micrometers. We look like little kids drawing knives, and we'll sit there and we'll tweak every aspect of it. You know?
Might take us days to make one tweak on a design before it even becomes a prototype.
Before we even put a piece of metal to it.
Yeah. But once it does, and then we don't just, okay, that's a cool looking knife. We go out and we test everything. We test how it cuts, you know, how is it thin enough for what we want? Is it too, you know, not the right dimensions or whatever? The handle doesn't feel good. Anything.
The ergonomics, the weight.
Ergonomics of it. You know, the goon. The goon was a good example of that.
Where we're going to put jimping. You know, this is one of our more recent designs, is the goon. You know, we wanted and more of a tactical aspect on the knife. We wanted a nice large finger guard there. You know, if you're wearing gloves. Good jimping on the back, so you have a positive control on it. You know, every little aspect, you know, from the rear jimping, if you're gonna hold it in a downward position, every little aspect, even the size of the jimping is gone through and tested.
Yeah, it's not just a random thing. It's actually put in and changed as needed until the design works for its intended use. And if it doesn't, we scrap it and go back to the drawing board.
We got boxes full of scrap knives. It just didn't make the cut. You know, a lot of people would be okay with sending stuff out that looks cool and feels all right. That's not our jig. That's not our deal at all.
That's kind of like how our designing and how that comes about. The finished product is a series of refinement. The last step is the edge sharpening, which none of our knives come out unless they are scary sharp. And that's just kind of a standard that we have. We're able to keep those tolerances and make sure that, you know, every single knife that goes out is going to cut whatever you are going to use it for. We get a lot of these questions all the time, like, you know, are we forging and that, and, you know, that's a long topic. Forging against stock removal is a long topic, but essentially, any of your high-end type production knives are made with stock removal methods, and the steels and materials that you can get in and make a modern style knife are going to outperform, you know, older materials, older styles. I guess that's the best way to put it. So we like things that work. We need things that work, and so we build things that actually work for people that actually use knives.
We build tools, and the fact that they look cool is just a bonus.
Yeah. Big that's not a really common thing. You'd be surprised. That's not a really common thing across the industry. A lot of times it just becomes a design and gets thrown out there and thrown to the wolves, seeing if people like it. Well, that's not what we do. We have a lot of knives on. Actually, our knives are on every continent right now. And we get a lot of feedback from people that, you know, just last night we were talking with a guy and he's put over 200 animals on one knife, and which, you know, is insane in itself, but it kind of goes with a testament that the design philosophy and the way it was made works. It just works. And that's a big difference between what a lot of...
We built things we'd want to use.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's kind of something we get asked all the time, among, you know, other things like how do you sharpen it and whatnot, which I think we've covered. Like the best way to keep it sharp.
Yeah.
But that's probably the next biggest question. So we just kind of wanted to clear that up give you an idea about how our processes are, and that will never change. That's the way Gambl Knives will always make sure things come out of the shop, no matter how it changes. So, yep.
Absolutely. You know, it surprises me too when people are surprised at our warranty. You know, we have a no matter what warranty.
Yep.
Sharpen it 1,000 times if you want. Keep sending it back. And, you know, the sheath, the handles. We have no problem doing a warranty like that because we know it's going to hold up.
Yeah.
And if anything does fail, that's our name behind it. That little G we laser on there is a symbol representing us.
Yep.
And we're going to take pride in that and keep putting out the best product we possibly can.
Lifetime warranty.